Hello everybody, welcome back to Cinema Savvy. It is myself, George, bringing out a brand new review, and today I'm going to be reviewing Weapons, which is now out in cinemas worldwide, the new horror film which released yesterday at the time of uploading, and I'm here to give my thoughts on this film. A film I've been very excited to watch, and a film that I am very intrigued to see what other people have been talking about it. A lot of hype on this film, a lot of discussion on this film, and I do want to hear from people, so please do comment your thoughts below. I'm going to keep this one spoiler free. That being said, I'm going to dive into a couple of story dynamics in this review. If you do not know about the narrative structure of the film, I would say don't watch the rest of this video, come back after you've seen it. But what I will say, for anyone that has seen it, I do want to talk about the narrative choices. Is that a spoiler to say? I don't think it is, but if you don't know, I just don't want to say anything or ruin anything for you. So this is your warning from me now. And if you do like this video, please do consider hitting the like button, subscribe, all the usual stuff, social medias below. We're trying to post there a lot more now. We've got clips of our reviews and discussions on there too. So we're a lot more active over on our Instagram, on our YouTube pages, of course. So please do get involved. That being said, let's talk weapons. And if anyone saw the Freaky Friday review yesterday, you'll know that I was meant to do a double bill for both Weapons and Freaky Friday. I was going to review Weapons first. However, I messed up the times of my double bill, and when I walked into the cinema screen for Weapons, after having seen it today, I now know it was way after the opening. So thank God I just turned around, immediately walked out and said, okay, I'll come back to the cinema tomorrow, because I didn't want to miss this. This is a film that I didn't really know a lot about until the last sort of 2 months, if I'm completely honest. I've not seen Zach Cregger's other work. I know he directed Barbarian, and my knowledge of this film goes as far as I was sat down to watch 28 Years Later. This would have been, what, June? And a trailer came. I'm not going to diss on horror as a genre. It's not my favourite genre. I don't really gravitate towards a lot of horror films. I will watch them, but it's just not a standout for me that I'll always go and watch and see. So when the trailers come on at horror films, I'm normally just completely bored and go on my phone. When the trailer for Weapons came on, I was sat there like, okay, this looks weird. This is really cool. I want to see this. I want to know about this. I want to know what happened. And that really sold me. And I've been following this ever since. I've seen a lot more people excited and hyped up for this one. So I was delighted to get the chance to finally see it. And if you are unaware of the story, at 2:17 a.m, 17 children go missing from the same classroom, leaving only the teacher and one student left there, which naturally then ensues the madness, and there's mystery and there's intrigue. Is it her? Is it him? Is it no one? What is it? It's a phenomenal film. I'm just going to say that there and then. I'm going to try and talk about this as much as I can without doing spoilers. It's a very difficult film to talk about without spoilers, but I have to say, as someone that's unfamiliar with Zach Cregger's work, his direction in this I thought was outstanding. The story, the dynamic, and the script work, the structure of how they chose to look into certain characters to structure it the way they did, I was sort of gobsmacked, if I'm completely honest. I'm not just overselling it for the sake of overselling it. I've left this film in the cinema today on a high from this film. I thought it was outrageously outstanding. And you've got to talk about the characters. The reason for this, because yes, there's a great story, but sometimes the story is only as great as the people that star in it. And we've got Julia Garner as the role of Justine, who is the teacher, who I thought was amazing in this. I've not actually seen her in that many things. Obviously, Fantastic Four came out recently, but this film, we got to see a little. I think she's done a lot of TV, I could be wrong. But I hadn't seen her in a role, and I thought as an actress she was incredible in this. She sold, whether you believe it or not, the innocent teacher, trying to uncover the mystery for herself, and through her investigative work, through what she's trying to do as a teacher, trying to find those children, those kids from her school, we then start to bring in other characters who flow with her, have their own story arcs and story beats going on. So that leads into a six-person narrative split. So as I mentioned, we've got Justine and Julia Garner. Second story, we've got Josh Brolin playing the role of Archer, who is the very... I wanted to say Joel from The Last of Us role. I know Pedro Pascal was originally cast in this, like back during the strikes from COVID. Not COVID, sorry, after COVID, the riot strikes from 2 years ago. He had to drop out, obviously, to do everything he currently does. And a lot of the cast did change as well. But Josh Brolin is playing a very stereotypical dad that son's gone missing, he's going to take into his own hand to do. We know what Josh Brolin is capable of as an actor. We've seen this type of character before. I had a lot of Prisoners vibes with this at times, and I enjoy spending time with him. We then get to bring in the policeman Paul, which is played by Alden Ehrenreich, who is so welcome back on the big screen. I say welcome back on the big screen. He hasn't really gone anywhere. He is just somebody that got given a raw hand with Solo, a film I very much enjoyed, a performance of his I very much enjoyed, and I just felt like he disappeared. And that every few years he emerges. I remember him, he was in Cocaine Bear as well. He's obviously going to be in this. I think, has he been in a Marvel series recently as well? Ironheart, maybe? Or one of the ones I've not seen, maybe She-Hulk, sorry. I don't know. I'm sure he's been in a Marvel something, but I loved him playing the role of a policeman in this one. We've then got Austin Abrams playing James, who is a drug addict. Now, Austin Abrams is apparently in Euphoria. I've not seen Euphoria. I know obviously a lot of the cast from it are starting to really make their stamp into the film industry now, and it looks like it's going to be the American version of Skins, where everyone in that seems to become a star and gets their great career path. So fair play to that show. But James, I loved in this film. So there's another interesting character as part of the story. We've then got Marcus, played by Benedict Wong, who I also didn't know was going to be in this film, who is the head teacher at the school at the time, and we get his perspective of what's basically coming to his desk, happening with the student, with the teacher, and everything else. And then we've got Alex, played by Kerry Christopher, who is the sole child from the classroom, and we get the perspective of what has happened to him, and it has been with him. And this is where I'm going to sort of talk about the horror genre and horror in a way, because I was in a sold-out screen. It was the smallest screen my cinema has, 40, 50 seats, but the fact it was sold out, it was great for a Saturday afternoon. And there are a lot of people jumping at jump scares, being creeped out. You could hear people murmuring at times, not like talking as in like rudely talking, but the murmur of what could happen to each other. And I loved being in an audience for this. I'm not going to be some like arseholes like, oh, I didn't jump flare, I didn't scare or whatever. I don't see a lot of horror films, and one of the reasons why is as I said, I don't gravitate to it as much. I can prep for those moments to happen. There are some incredibly chilling sequences. One notably of the potato peeler, which I was squirming in my chair because that was just disgusting, and also something I've always wanted to see done in a film. So there's a bit of a sicko in me getting that out of the way. But I loved how this came to be. And I think I saw Mark Kermode compare it to Rashomon, and maybe others are, but the fact this went from being, here's a mystery about what's going on, let's resolve it, to here's every different perspective of what happened, and let's piece this puzzle together and see how it ends. I loved that approach. It actually worked so much better than I thought it would, and I struggle to think of anything that didn't work for me, because I'm not faulting the performances from any of the actors. I thought they were all superb. As I said, some of these actors I'm very familiar with, some of them I'm not, but to see it all coming together in certain sequences, you might be thinking in your head, okay, this is going to go this way, that's going to go that way. By opening the film with a child narrator talking about it being a cover-up and no one knows what happened, and this happened, that happened, you then have a sense of instability as the film progresses that, well, the child said this at the start, so this is going to have to happen. It doesn't happen. So I loved what they did with the structure. I think that's what works best for this film. It's very unique in that approach. It's not the first one to obviously use narrative structures. As I mentioned, Rashomon's one they compare it to. There are, you've got films like Pulp Fiction, which I think is better to compare it to, because whilst Rashomon's the one instant via 4 different perspectives, this one is a complete narrative where it only comes together when the 6 stories and characters come together with it, that is intertwining with one another. So I think it's different and unfair to compare it to Rashomon, but maybe something like Pulp Fiction, maybe something like Magnolia, where the characters influence the other parts of the story. I'd be so intrigued to see this film split in different ways, or people weaving it in different ways. That'd be really interesting. But I just loved it, and I think this did so much for me. On top of the atmospheric work, the imagery of the children running out the cameras, their arms down. You've seen it in the posters. You've probably seen the Benedict Wong clip. I thought the film worked so well for those reasons, and I absolutely am going to end this review with a massive recommendation. Go and see this film on the big screen. I believe it's going to be having a very successful opening weekend. I've seen its reaction that it's on a level with Sinners. I don't really do star ratings as such, but this is probably already in my top 5 of the year. I think I need to have a quick look, but it certainly is up there with some of the best films I've seen, and this is going to live long in the memory, and this is going to be a film I talk to other people about, seeing if people have seen this. There's so much to dissect about this. I kind of wish I was doing a big spoiler discussion with someone, so that's on me for not preparing that. This is obviously going to be the review we do, but I would love to talk about this film in a lot more detail, and I'm sure I will in various group chats and stuff. So that is me recommending this film. Now, I didn't see this film in IMAX. I know it's being shown at limited IMAX screens. I doubt it's been shot in IMAX. I think it's just very much... The IMAXs have expired on Fantastic Four. F1's back in IMAX in some cinemas. They're probably just putting whatever they can into certain cinemas. So I couldn't say how it looks in the IMAX format. But at the cinema screen, being in that environment, having that approach to the film, the right setting, the right environment made all the difference. I think people will be talking about this film for many years to come. So that's how I'm going to end out this review. I hope you've all enjoyed it. I do want to hear your thoughts, as I said. And obviously we will have some more new release reviews to do, because I'm going to go back to back in a review now. I'm going to be recording a review on the brand new War of the Worlds film. Yes, that's right, that War of the Worlds film starring Ice Cube. That will go up on the channel tomorrow or Tuesday. I haven't decided yet. I need to figure out a couple of schedules. So yes, lots more reviews to come. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you on the next one.